here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, world. Stand by. Is that an evil laugh? Y'all, hold on. I get tickled at myself. Every time I take a break, I have to learn how to do this all over again. Well, folks, I'm doing my best to stay on the planet, but I'm having a little trouble. I've got tonight is speaking with a lot of people that want to come on and share who they are and why they are. And I invited a couple of people, and I don't see them. So while we're letting these people tell us who they are, we will call the guests that were supposed to be here tonight. Hi, 805. Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi, Theresa. This is Donna from California. How are you?
Great, Donna. Hold on just a second. Glad to hear from you. Let me see who else is here. 775. Hi, 775. You're live and on the air. Who's this?
Hi, my name is Wendy from California.
Hi, Wendy. Nice to have you. Boy, the California ladies are showing up. Well, Wendy and hold on, I forgot. Donna, how are you ladies tonight?
Great.
You guys can talk to each other while I. You ladies got the floor while I. Donna, you've been here for years. Wendy, you've been on here a lot, haven't you? Yeah. So I've got to mute while I call my other two people, the two men that Ken and Richard are supposed to be here, and let them know I was late getting on. So will you ladies just, Donna, introduce yourself, and then have Wendy introduce herself, okay? You understand. I got to make a couple of calls, okay?
Hi, Wendy. You probably heard me from other radio shows.
Can you hear each other?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Wendy dropped. Okay, I'm sorry, Wendy. Yeah, I was, wait, this is Wendy, isn't it?
No, this is Donna.
Okay, Donna, Wendy called back in. I lost you. I was going to have you talk. But Donna, tell people a little about you, because I need to call Ken and Richard and see what's up, because I was a few minutes late. I already said that once.
Okay,
but just tell people who you are and how long you've been with me and what we do here and all that.
Oh, my gosh, I don't even know how long, but it's years, huh?
Yeah,
I always enjoy your show. Yeah, you're just so full of a lot of information. I guess you're very well read, huh? Also.
Yeah, I do read a lot, to be honest with you, and I write books too. But I'm just doing my best to keep people involved with our association and coming back after 2020 and getting people involved. But let me see if I can get Ken. I know what I can do. I can call them. How about that? Let me. I'll tell you what. While you're on here, let's see. Invite. Well, wait, let me see. I'm calling on another line. Let's see. I'm so confused. I've got two phones and the radio show on. And, folks, this is supposed to be about esoteric mystic guides. And we're going to unite tonight with Donna. And I guess Wendy, if she calls back in, I guess she got cut off by accident. But I'm calling. It says ongoing call. 59840 is. I guess he's trying to call. But, folks, I know this sounds funny, but ACO, Association Online Social Network, we're an open source information founded by T.J. Mars Moi in 2012 here with T.J. Mars ET Radio. And since then, we've grown and made our company larger, and we generate connections all over the world. And we've accepted some countries. We're working a lot with India and other countries. Yeah, helping them with radio shows and blogs and videos and websites, and we're all artisans and artists and authors and bloggers and entrepreneurs and healers and historians and photographers, practitioners, publishers, researchers, speakers, teachers, videographers, and bloggers. That's who we like to talk to, and we're all helping each other for years and years and not charging anybody. So we do have to pay for a lot of services, but we've gotten together, and so it doesn't cost us all so much. And I've got a Patreon if you'd like to contribute a couple of bucks a month to speak and be involved. We'd appreciate it. I know what let me turn. I got it now. I don't have so much feedback. I had both phones on, and I was going to call on one. Well, Donna, do you have something you can add to us today while I try to let me see if I can get Ken. I've got to look their phone numbers up. But do you have anything you'd like to share today? Are you making anything?
I'm doing a meditation. It's pretty good. It's a meditation center of the heart area. Let me see if I can have the book here. See, I don't see the book. Centering prayer, and you meditate and you just say a sacred word. That'll be your mantra, 3-syllable. So you can say like God or whatever it be, whatever you choose to. And it's really good because it brings you present, and the God is always in you, I believe. And so, your thoughts come and go, and you go back to the word, and it's just helping me a lot. And I'm also on that keto diet, eating, the fats and the protein, and I just feel so good. I can't tell you.
Okay, well, that's a personal experience. So there's so many diets out there, and we've worked with so many. Let me see if I can call Richard Knight on here, but I've got a police phone number up here, and I will. Let's see.
When you're down out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you, take your soul if you let them, oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. You've got a friend.
Okay, folks, let's try this one more time. I did get Richard on the road, and he had other problems in the background, so he had called in, but he said he left me a message, and we just didn't get together. So he was scheduled to come on. Most of y'all know Richard T. Knight. And I had Ken Johnston, which is Ralph Kennedy Johnston, on his book, Ken's Moon, with former NASA astronaut. And hold on just a minute. I'm having a rough time trying to get this show started again after COVID-19 with everybody. But Donna, you're still here, right?
I'm here.
Okay. I noticed you, me, and Wendy got kicked off, but it went into remote and it played the music for me, so that's nice. So I appreciate all that. So, folks, we do a lot of things. We're artists and authors, and we've already been through the whole ramifications of who we are. But, Donna, you've been studying esoterics and metaphysics for how long now? Do you know how long?
Oh, my. Maybe 20 years. Yeah, into spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people say spirituality, and then we break it down from there, folks, in case a lot of you are spiritual, and some people say I'm spiritual, not religious. But some people go with all kind of different ways of talking about who they are and how they are and their philosophies and how we're dealing with today's world. But Donna, you're in San Diego area, aren't you?
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
South of LA, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, my goodness, I had invited several of our teachers or life coaches, including Suzanne Wyman Flynn of over there where you are, and she has to work till 9. About 9, which is 11 my time. So, folks, getting everybody together, even in the United States, we work during the day, and lately, because I have to survive for a living, I'm going from just the United States to globally helping people in digital services, digital networking, and what I do here on radio, but also in television, videos, and documentaries. A lot of our friends are going direct to live streaming on YouTube, and we hope to get there. But I have had so much to do as a hobby all these years while I was publishing books for my husband, mother, and our company. But, Amazon came around, and that all went into digital, or what we called print on demand with all the big publishing houses. So a lot of us went with Lightning Source and went on into believing Amazon was going to save the day, and actually it wound up sort of throttling up the prices. So you may see a lot of the books around the world higher. And so we all figured that out, and they put that out on a documentary. And so we had already had some printing problems back when, and publishing problems back when I was driving coast to coast. You had to have a good clearance, and I had hazardous material pulling coast to coast, those big trucks you see out there, 18-wheelers, and now we need some more drivers out there. So, folks, if you got anybody that can, do a pretty good clearance background, you have to have your last 10 years at least, where you've worked, and then if you can get a commercial driver's license, now's the time to get out there and see the world, especially see America, because it's a great job. I loved it. I wouldn't have given it up if I hadn't got hurt, broke my back and neck, but I've had a lot of jobs working for the government, and I pulled, even the last one was pulling for the U.S. Treasury. I pulled for Microsoft, meaning I pulled a trailer. I went and, hooked my truck, we call them big trucks, and over the roads, the big roads, and OTR truck drivers. So that was a lot of fun, and I really loved it, but I did get hurt. My truck caught fire, which is very rare. It was a very rare thing that happened in Indiana, and they had put some retreads on the company truck I was driving. I didn't own my own rig then. I actually found it easier for me on bookkeeping just to take as an independent driver and work for a company. So I got, my 401k and all that. So that was the method between the madness. So I got started with FFE, Frozen Food Express, training, and 8 to 10 weeks trained the trainer with, I pulled for American, what was her name? Lisa Lines. And then we had American Eagle dry van, which the difference we have Frozen Food Express are what we call frozen foods. Anything you have frozen, they keep in a reefer. It's called a container. And we went back in the day, I don't know if they still have any 48-footers, but they were 53-footers. And, some of them you have to know. There's a lot to know. Actually, yeah, Donna talking about you learning a lot when you call it. But, need the reason I'm talking about the truckers tonight, even though it's an Esoteric Mystic Guide Unite, is the fact that, some of our great people that are scholarly or theologists or well, I think everybody's an armchair philosopher. They can get out there and do some work if they're physically able to pass the test and basically just have, pretty normalized sight and, at least a GED high school usually they like you to have, and be good physical condition. Prior military doesn't hurt, but, there's a lot of jobs we need filled right now, and pulling freight it's a good job. It's a high-paying job. And I'm seeing a lot of people out there advertising for 66 cents a mile. And you add up those miles, and the average I used to pull was a minimum 2,500 miles a week, and 5K. Excuse me, 20. Let's see, how do you say that? Let's see, the average load was 500 to 3,500 at the most cross country, and I did train. I was a trainer later on after I went through frozen food, FFE. You've probably seen them out there, green trucks, and then the white trucks with the American Eagle on them. That was the drive-in division for Lisa Lines. We had Lisa Lines too, out of Dallas, Lancaster, Texas. And that's also where I came out of the Navy Air Station back in the day, in the 80s. And let's see. Okay, then from there I moved. I took a job with, I wound up in Oklahoma. Let me see why. Why did I have to go to Oklahoma City? It was after the bombing in 94. I remember that, or 95. That must have been April. Do you remember when that bombing was in Oklahoma? Donna,
I don't know.
I think it was 95, April 95. I know it's hard to keep history going on what all happens, but that's why the esoteric mystic guides are so important, folks. Usually we have steel traps for minds. We've lived a lot of past lives. And in this historical, with the veil down, it allows you not to have to remember all your past lives, usually when the veil's down. But now they were going 5D experiences. A lot of us have past life memories coming up. So if you don't know your past lives, life after lives, I'm reading a book on that right now. But not to jump around into esoterics, but let me go back to my pulling freight, because that was the most thing job, to be able to make good money. And I started like at 18 cents to 22 cents a mile while you're in training. Sounds ridiculous. So then if you get 23 to 28 cents a mile, you think you're doing really good as a driver. And you were really doing good 29.5 to 32 cents a mile. That was big money back then in 95. Well, late 94. No, it was 95. So, yeah, I know right after I started driving, that bombing happened in Oklahoma City, and I wound up over there and being a prior investigator. I remember everybody was talking about that. You know, there was all kind of feds all around Oklahoma City, and oh my God, it was a mess. And then I wound up driving out of there and headed back over here to Florida on a load. So I remember that. Let's see, all my jobs tie in together before being a prior government service person. But I actually got started in ACIR back in 67, but let me see how I wound up driving a truck. The government actually needed people to drive trucks, and I pulled for Microsoft and U.S. Treasury, and also aircraft parts in and out. I went into a lot of like Dayton, Ohio. That's one of the big things for UFOs, and all the way across Area 51 out there, and out in the desert, and all the way over up and down Seattle, all up and down California where you are, Donna. God, that was fun. But the mountains were scary, pulling a big load, you know, and in the mountains in the winter you had to chain up on your wheels. That's pretty rough. They'll issue chains at some of the truck stops before you hit the mountains. But, man, that was rough. I had my brakes burn out on a mountain trying to keep a real heavy maxed out load going down one of those mountains over there outside of, let's see, it was Washington. We had a lot of UFOs over there too, where Yakima area, and going towards, you know, Seattle and the port over there. But it's still, that's the only rough time is when you have to pull, you know, to get people products through the winter. That's really hard, folks, if you're missing your toilet paper. In the winter, or if you're missing something, it's a tough road to get over those mountains. There's no way around it. So, you know, unless you can put it on rail. And I remember J.B. Hunt put a lot on rail. And then let's see, I had containers in and out of Hawaii before I was a truck driver. Hush, Coco. So this is live, folks, and I've got a dog and a cat, not wanting to, but I love my little doggy, but this little kitty came to my door and was dying, and the mother left its runt. And it is really tiny, even though it's grown now. It's almost a year, July. But after I went through the mountains and things and did training and had some amazing things happen. In the snow, or getting stuck up in the snow and the equipment would freeze up or quit, and it did. I slept up on mountains, and they'd have to come get me. Fortunately, I'd be with my husband at the time. I got married later, and he pulled too. He's passed now, God bless him, on the other side. But I'm sure he's pulling for God somewhere in another dimension or another place in space, because he loved truck driving too. But the money was good. It averaged, when you first start out, you may make $32,000, but the average used to be about $75,000 a year. And I was surprised, because it went now what they're making, but inflation. So it's probably about the same thing we were making back in '95. I got out of it about 2003, but I went in and was a dispatcher and trained the truck drivers on their satellites, on their SATCOMs. So we had satellites in our big trucks before most people understood how we were going to use it, like for Windows 95. And, of course, Windows 95 came out. But the whole time I was pulling cross country, we already had satellite computers in our trucks. And I had to train people how to use them, because a lot of those guys coming to work for us were just kids or out of the military, or some had computer assistants, but most didn't. And so we had to teach them how to drop a load and what to push in and how to. Back then, we didn't have, believe it or not, and I think the government helped Google get started, we didn't have the maps. We didn't have cell phones. We finally started getting flip phones, 95 to 2000, and I got out of the business 2004, and I think that's when really, do you remember, Donna, when you had your first smartphone? I need y'all to help me in history. We really are historians.
I'm not good at any of that. I mean, I got mine a lot later than most people did. It just didn't occur to me to get one, and then finally my sister gave me one, and that was, so I'm not sure. I'm not good at history.
Well, do you remember AOL? Because American Communication Online, a lot of people used AOL on their computers.
Yeah, I used AOL, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people did all over. So I remember my mother encouraging me to do that, and I was already on a computer, working. 97, I know, was a big year, and because I wanted to go to Roswell, out to the Roswell UFO Museum then, and 98, and I know that we had, I was driving a truck, we had the Phoenix lights. Do you keep up with any of the UFO memorabilia, Donna?
Once in a while, I watch a show that'll show something of it, but Do you?
Oh, yeah. Ancient Aliens.
You follow all that, huh?
Well, Prometheus Entertainment, they were involved with authors and getting history down and helping. I don't know, I really don't know their history, but I know people that were helping them. And then the events. When I had my operation on my back and neck, when I got hurt and had to get off the road, was 2003 and 2004. So I had to do something. That's when Mother got me. We started our brand festivals and events, and I went out to the veterans, and the government, since I'd been prior service, asked me to help the veterans. So I got a little politically involved, writing for a weekly newspaper then, because I had nothing to do. So weekly, I wrote for them in Hartford, Kentucky, Ohio County, Kentucky. And that's when we started our brand, Ace Folk Life Society. It's a guild. And that's what Ken was going to do to come on today to help us with our esoterics and metaphysics. And Richard T. Knight and Ken R. Johnston are a couple of, Ken is the solar ambassador and Richard is the galaxy, and I'm Cosmos ambassador. And then we have a science fiction writers meetup group now. Oh. Do you write at all, Donna?
No. Once in a while, something will come upon me, and I would write about God, that type of thing. I would just, but I'm not a writer, no.
All right. Well, a lot of people aren't. I just happen to be drawn to those because my husband and my mother and his sister, everybody was writing books, and my mother
Oh, my
taught it.
gosh.
Yeah, so, when everybody's writing books, and we all started with Publish America back in the day, and I meet a lot of people that do that, and then, we were publishing, and I was working in a publishing house, and my mother had her Thomas Publishing, and my imprint was Timely Manor Books, and then she had published history books back for Louisiana, and it just got to be where I used to help with manuals for the government, and I was more of a documentary type person. I think that's how I wound up getting with the government and doing veteran work, and it was volunteer work, folks, because at the time I got hurt, when you're 50 to 53, you can't hardly get a job. I'm going to be 70 this year, so that's my cat and dog playing in the other room. But what I'm doing now is offering our services in we have a lot of association groups and Facebook. Hold on just a minute. Oh, my God. Coco, hi. I think the cat. My dog is raised the kitty, which is now a cat. And when this is human nature and nature of animals, but she actually tells the cat not to get into the window or sill or get on certain things, and so the cat does it to antagonize her. Anyway, because the cat's going to be a cat, right? So that's just nature.
Uh-huh.
But I'm looking to see if I can, looking in my rooms, to see where. Okay. Yeah, my the cat is up on my dresser, and that's not allowed. So that's why my dog is. But I guess I got to get on with the class, because what we should do is have, folks, we ought to start meeting on YouTube, because you can see, and it'll be more live. There's a lot of people that learn from, I guess, oral and video, audio video is. A lot of my friends are going direct on their YouTubes now, and I've got a lot of those, Theresa J. Thurman Morris or TJ Morris. But we can meet here. A lot of people say they have a face for radio. So a lot of our people in the older that have been in radio all these years, they still like to do radio. And then it gets podcasted out. I pay extra on Spreaker to have it go out all over Spotify and iHeart and Stitcher and oh, my gosh, all these places that put out podcasting is very popular now. But if you see what I wrote today on the software development, we're actually learning to write more code, and it's a little more involved for your phones. I don't know if you're up on how you use phones, but on cyberspace on the Internet highway, but these phones are they're layered up, and they're using code called React.native now, and it's a little different than HTML or what we do with Word. So these are things that are languages like we speak. But we're going to learn how to help others that want to be involved in our esoterics and mystic guides, and actually writing a guide up. We're going to have Brad Olson, said he'll come on Friday, and he's going to be very informative. He's got 3 books on esoterics, and I guess I had to get back in the saddle again tonight and start doing this, because when I take off, it's like a learning process. Even though you know it, it's almost like you have to learn how to set it up and push the buttons and see who's on and answer the phones. And, usually you have like a producer and a director, somebody to run the chat room if you're lucky. And you turn all of that on, and you have different people doing different things. But all these years, I've had a lot of people help me, and they've all graduated and gone to have their own radio stations, like Janet Carlesson and Aquarian Radio, and Thomas Sinisi. He has his show. I put him together with a girl, Tina Bird, over in the UK, that did events in the UK and met a lot of famous people, including on ancient aliens and history, and they are together. I put them together on Tuesday, so today's their day. So if you check them out, there's Thomas Anthony Sinisi that used to be here with me all the time, and now he's doing his own, and he always had his authors. He authored several books about God, and he liked to speak about God. Now, a lot of people don't like the word anymore, but you have to have a higher something outside of you. And so, the world needs to have believe in world religions, even though a lot of them have gone away as time goes by. But some of the ones that stay around are from Abraham faith. And now a lot of my friends believe those were all actually the Anunnaki, and that the reason we had wars was to get rid of a lot of the museums and a lot of the history, because through all the different years from back in the day when Jesus supposedly walked the earth, and I'm a believer because I have no reason not to believe, and I was always taught about that, even in esoterics and metaphysics, believe it or not. A lot of people, if they are armchair philosophers or they study philosophy and theology, my father went to SMU and at 16, but he got into religion, and the deeper you study, and then you learn how the Bible was compiled, and by different people that were historians and scribes, and they kept books that go back to, as most of you probably know, scripts like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and where the science is meeting ancient historians is where all the Qumran and like Bhagavad Gita, all the Hindu scriptures and the fired clay tablets back in Egypt's time, and they had their first cuneiform is what it's called, or cuneiform. And so back in the day, all these things, they kept them, they'd take these little pencil or pointed sticks and have clay, and like they made clay bricks, but they actually wrote, and they would let them sit, and they became really hard, especially back in the day when it was desert and all of that. So that's how we know that there were certain types of humanoids, carbon-based units. We call ourselves sentient, intelligent beings now. And, how all this got to be. So the words become how we study each other and our cultures and our ancient wisdom and our ancient religions and world religions. But just for those that don't study esoterics very much, and I'll have some real good people that write books on esoterics, but I'm going to tell you the meaning of definitions. A lot of people may not like to understand, but I do. So this is intended for likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge of interest. But Donna, you must have a gigantic interest, even though, because you've come for years and years, right, about all that we teach or all that we share in esoteric. So are you comfortable with that word, esoteric?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm just fascinated by the other world because I have so many moments of sacredness and holiness, and it must be coming from inside of me somewhere, that I don't know. And then I've, seen the spirits and I hear them, and so I know that there's a lot more beyond what's here. Right.
It gives you a way to understand. Wikipedia says in Western esotericism, one scholarly model adopts some definition of esotericism, but they call them isms in our world religions, is the study of. But Western esotericism or esotericism, depends on who you talk to, also known, Western mystery traditions. But these are, there's been scholars that have studied this throughout the world, and it basically boils down to most of ours in America got to the tree of life represented by the Kabbalah, in the Abrahamic faith and the world religions and the scripts they kept in the Old Testament, if you've ever read the Bible or any fraction thereof. And all these came from these old fire clay tablets, and they actually got, we say, we believe in them as far as them being translated correctly here on this channel with BTR, is meaning Western philosophy and religion, pseudoscience, art, literature. It says esotericism has pervaded various forms of Western philosophy, religion, pseudoscience, art, literature, and music. continuing to affect intellectual ideas and popular culture. So we're doing our best to keep a culture going here perennially, as they say. It's a hidden inner tradition, maybe to some, but it's out in the open pretty much these days. And so all these movements, we call ours the Ascension Age, with awakening awareness that encompasses a lot of movements, like 5D experiencers are those who embrace the 3D worldviews. But after Hollywood has really embraced certain people, we went through the Da Vinci Code and the war between world science and world religions. And I say I filed a nonprofit just to be legal as Ascension Church Ohana, which is my Ascension Center organization for retreats and groups and retreats are places to study and meditate. And we say that prayer is sending and meditation is like receiving. So it's like Donna said, on the inside, you have your inner work to do and your outer work to do. And so your inner work is anything encompassing and veiled with your DNA that has your spirit. Everything is waves scientifically. We pretty much understand radio waves and all these waves out there that are flowing through us, and we learn from those. So a lot of people don't really understand because they really haven't been taught to understand, nor do a lot of people have the time. They're so busy in the way of the world. In this, they say, be in the world but not of it. In three-dimensional form is to study Hermeticism and Gnosticism and Neoplatonism. But they had schools actually, and a lot of the churches still do have. The churches were where you went and became educated and had your scribes for the world leaders back in the day. So the one true faith wasn't a one true faith the way we know it now. There was, in the beginning, a lot of different forms, and Hindu is considered the oldest, as far as I know, back in before we had anything with the Roman Catholic Church, and when they had the Roman Empire, and we still use Roman numerals and the Greek language. We went from Greek and Latin into the Bible, and Germany, the first printing press, is why we even wound up with a language that we could take it out in German, Greek, with Latin, Greek, German, and then we had King James in Europe over in, a lot of you may know that, we call that the old country, or the UK over the pond. So it was actually King James that had the actual compilation and the people to translate it into our scholarly way of thinking, into our English language, and certain books, as fast as they could translate them. From every time they translated it, the people, it went through the filtering of the minds and the way they understood the languages. So we are having now a movement in what is in ontology and etymology in esoterics. I don't know if you understand etymology, but I'm very fascinated with language and how the original words, because I'm into communication, but etymology definition, I can give you that, is basically Middle English, and it's the study of the history of words. It's etymology, and we didn't have a lot of this in college, or a lot of people. I got married at 15 because my husband was going to Vietnam, and our high school, some of the boys were coming back in body bags from Vietnam, but he got a job by Chris Kraft at NASA, which saved his life and me, typing pool and going in and out with all the NASA people living down there in Clear Lake and League City. And we were saved by that group, and I went on to go to GED and got some law enforcement. I wanted to be in the third grade a writer, I became a writer, and that's very interesting. So maybe sometimes children do know what they want, being that I'm in communication now. But, somebody flashed on and off. I'm sorry I missed you. I'm so sorry. I apologize, talking about etymology now, but Esoteric Mystic Guides Unite. What that's about, folks, is I've started a Patreon as a co-creator for Mystics, Oracles, Psychics, Sages, Seers. I started for my company. I've got it going now, so I'm putting Esoteric Mystic Guides together and how we can all help each other understand language and use it. And we can use it right here on radio, and you can learn about the words and what they mean and the esoteric meanings and how we're all helping each other learn from each other. And so we're using social media, which is still basically, social media is free, but, there is always a cost because somebody's collecting your data, and then big corporations will pay for what you are following around with that phone of yours, either Apple or Android, and that is how a lot of people know what to show you. The bots, there's bots out there reading you now, and back in the day we didn't have that, so we had psychics, mystics, oracles, psychics, sages, seers, shaman that were part of the establishment in our cultures around the world, and this is a known fact. And this was like almost like your I guess the best way to say, back in the day, they weren't as organized, and there was hunters and gatherers of people, and when they were being intermixed, interbreeded, finding each other, and we became all these different groups around the world. But basically, the tectonic plates moving would shift and cause cataclysms. So depending on where we were located was the language in our cultures and our tribes. We were very tribal hunters and gatherers, and we like to think the men went out and hunted, and the women, especially in the Indian tribe in America, the women pretty much ruled the roost and the power that be, and there was always a medicine woman, sometimes medicine man, but I remember I have a past life as a medicine woman and went out with 5 tribes, and I remember walking over from up in like North Carolina area, Oklahoma, all the way over to Oklahoma, and I made it till I was about a teenager, and I remember dying in a field, and I have a memory waking up the sun and all this tall grass, and I can look over and see where the bison had made these deep trenches coming up and down. So these are memories that I couldn't possibly have if I didn't study enough and come and go from this world and learn from death and dying, and life between lives. So I teach that now as a mystic and believing in spirit and teaching others, because we all look at each other, and I know that we're all connected and that we are waves according to science, but our spiritual science brings us together to look at everything and all the DNA and everything that together. So we really don't understand how everything is made. So if we don't, and we see everything and know we're connected, and those that follow my Esoteric Mystic Guide units and the ones that are uniting with me and adapting to change, they are the ones that sort of like from a seed planted underground through your past lives and going up the tree of life, you learn of your past lives and you gather the data in your DNA and you waken all that 95% they say you're not using. So this is what we're using as 5D experiencers now to waken up those in the 3D going through the 4G or 4D. You can almost compare it to 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, 7G, the power. And actually it gets tinier and more powerful, just like you're probably listening to me on radio or with radio airwaves. So there's a lot to being a human and to learning your place. And our esoteric guides around the world, I'm using life coaching. I wrote a book called ACE Life Coach. It's very inexpensive. I think they've got it on Amazon. Let me go look real quick. Very inexpensive. I've tried to keep it as low as they'll let me, but I can't even get any more because I lost the script or the whenever I moved, I lost my records, and a couple of my hard drives blew up. Oh, goodness. That must be. that's coming from Donna, I think. Okay, let me mute her for a minute. So what we do is while we're here learning our esoteric definitions, meanings, etymology, what words mean philosophically, we can help each other in our small number of people and just start with your specialized knowledge or your interest and let it grow. And that's all we ask you to do is be willing to have spiritual growth and learn how to be initiated into those things that you don't know about. If you don't know your past lives or life after life, I've been fortunate enough to go into esoterics looking for meaning of the very unusual serendipity, synchronicity type life, a lot of deja vu, knowing things before they happened, having special knowledge, and looking for answers. And that's how I wound up learning about Stargate and Project Stargate and Project Pegasus, and looking for answers and going into the government. Even though they had me already, I had no idea that they kept my paperwork on file for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but they did. They just kept having me sign new government contracts in and out of country and in and out of uniform and in and out of GS status. And I would just say I worked at the last 20 or 30 years, they told me just say in my 30s that I worked for the State Department. That covered pretty much everything I did. Now I'm just retired as of 2017, and so I have time in the esoteric tradition to, compare, write books, and study, like Donna said. I learn every day, all day, and I learn from a lot of YouTube channels that there's so much out there now. And I've pretty much registered myself with my profit and my nonprofit, and we're studying the meaning of words and how we can find secret meanings that were behind. And the Da Vinci Code, like I said, Matrix, the movies in Hollywood have really helped us learn things and pique our interest. And I was one of those that got caught up with Chariot of the Gods, Eric von Däniken, as many people had that. And so books you read can point you on a spiritual journey. And we like to talk to people and get to know people here in our groups and in our Facebook groups. So that's how Facebook, I think, became so well known after AOL. And Facebook got to be a thing after MySpace. Pretty much Facebook took out MySpace. And Elon Musk started PayPal. But Elon Musk made a lot of billions, and he's still making billions. I think he's probably, since Bezos got taken down by his wife in last couple of years, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, and then Bill Gates' wife has taken him down or given him half. But she's brilliant. That Melinda Gates. Now they're still going to give away money. They're still philanthropists and have billions each, from what I understand. So I've been keeping up with that because I know he had to step down from his position with Microsoft, and it's public knowledge. I'm not saying anything that's not true, but how we get involved with other people that are making billions, they have the special gifts to lead people. They actually educated themselves and were able to offer the world resources and tools. So that's how we started with Microsoft and the coding and the languages, and Facebook came around. And there's a movie, if you haven't seen it, about Facebook, and you ought to see it, okay? And Amazon came when Jeff Bezos was actually working over on Wall Street and was assigned something to go see in e-commerce and all that. But he got smart, and he decided he and his wife would do books. And so he started cataloging and seeing and starting with books. It's now an American multinational technology company based in Seattle, Washington, and they focus on e-commerce, cloud computing, digital streaming, and artificial intelligence. And do you know that he even keeps a lot of the intelligence agency files now? So the founder was Jeff Bezos, Bezos. Now he has subsidiaries: Audible, Zappos, Whole Food Market, A-Books, and more. And so much going on with Amazon Books. So now I just do digital books and let other different groups that he owns do the distribution. I used to have distribution houses when I ran a big company, and people don't have to keep them, but they used to buy them and put them, books in their garage, believe it or not. And we used Create Space, and Create Space got where they just turned everything over to Kindle ebooks. And now we have PDFs, which are our files, and we make a PDF, and then we can upload it. I've loaded some of mine, about 40 books, on Lulu.com. So my business model has really, really grown from what I could handle as a one human being, but having knowledge of death and dying and coming back, it's like life after life. Now, it used to be thought of only near-death experiences or NDEs, but now that we come back into the reality, we've had our heart stop or so many minutes. I used to think when oxygen couldn't get to your brain, you'd just be brain dead, because if you went over 6, it was like underwater. You have to have air to breathe. But they've learned now that people can go under, keep their body cold or whatever, and they can bring them back. So we know that now, and we've learned a lot. I've been on the planet, and I came on the planet December 26, 1951. So I don't know how much each person is gathering, but I will tell you this. I didn't lose my information when I left my body. It went with me as a spirit. And I've had some interesting visitations from beings. Can you hear me pretty good okay, Donna? Am I cutting out?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you well. Yeah.
Good. I heard my dog finally has stopped barking, I think. I closed the door on her for a few minutes. But she used to not bark at all, but since I've gotten this cat, she loves to bark. But, Donna, with me going out of my body, my 3D, and we call it your carbon-based unit or your biological human form, that proved to me right there that some of the stuff I've read about the real Jesus coming out of his body and overhead as a spirit, which was in Peter. There's the book of Peter, and if you read that, you'll learn how Jesus was talking. So there's some books that didn't make it into the Bible that we know of King James when they compiled that and actually made it, the Gutenberg Bible into the King James Version. And then, the Catholics have a few more chapters of books that they kept in their Catholic, Orthodox, and Catholic Bible. And then Christians in the King James Version had fewer books, less knowledge. And what it is, folks, it was really about control and the people, usually men, wanting to control the power with the empires that were on the planet with the powers that be, so to speak. It always seemed to be like we were the landlords, and then those that were the serfs or those that didn't have, that worked the land from the land and gatherers. And then the Indians, as we at one time were driven off our land here in America. So really there were people here before the American Indians, but the ones that coming over from Europe knew and landed here and took over. And then we had the rebellion. We decided we weren't going to pay taxes to the old country, right? Coming over here and working together as families. So that's all in our DNA, in our memory codes, and some people can remember it. And now we seem to be always deciding we're not going to pay taxes. But now the corporate structure's been that corporations could go out globally when individuals can't. But corporations, we learned to be not just only sole owners and individuals, but to gather together and form partnerships or small businesses that work pretty good. But people can only control so much as an individual or even groups and teams. And it was like up to so many, 35, 50, 100, 500. And the churches started splitting up. And I noticed in Kentucky especially, there was one built on every few miles in the coal industry. And it was back, I saw the wheel ruts when I was there of the old roads, And then as trucks came along from the wagons, we don't think like this, do we? We don't think how our great parents, all the people that came before us lived. Oh, goodness, sorry, folks. And that was something Donna did too. Same time the cat dog interrupted me. But, there's so much to think about in our history, but it's how we're going to deal now, in the now, that people come and listen to our radio shows and get to speak with us and embrace change in the future we have to offer in educating our people and the way we think about alien civilizations exist and angels existing, if you want to believe, are extraterrestrials, and how we're moving forward that some people can actually now see them, and even more so than there's ever been. And now we have all these UFO channels about aliens and UFOs, and now we're going to be studying alienology, the different groups that were out in space, not only in the solar system and through Orion's belt. We used to say that was the bus stop, and Sirius and Saturn at different times as the beings that may or may not have been from the solar system. So it's like you take it on faith. But then we had people writing books way back in the even here in America when they had the Church of Latter-day Saints, which are the Mormon temples all over, huge, beautiful temples, and people that followed the angel Moroni and talked to Joseph Smith. So that's a big deal, and an American religion that went all over the world. And then even after that, you had Scientology, which a lot of people don't agree since it was started by a writer. But I don't profess to be any religion at all. God has no religion. But it's up to each individual to grow their own philosophy and find their own spiritual journey. So what we do here is we formed a nonprofit for educational purposes, but it's for our books, our intellect, our spiritual guidance, and the monad philosophy. And some people put it in scientific, some with math, in science, technology, engineering, and math. And each one of those you can have a language. And ours is the study of words and etymology and what they mean in all the old languages and how we bring forward ancient wisdom, how people adjusted to life and how they adjusted to living in the now, when they were in the now, when they were on the planet. Because I've seen so many people come and go. It's like The Wizard of Oz. It's like Judy Garland in that movie and the representation of that. And Michael Jackson was in a later version and with Diana Ross, and I was really happy about that. But, we all have to survive. And right now, from what I understand in my country, we're going through a change, and some people believe in the law differently than I do, or some people. Some believe that it's the republic, and we're not a republic, we're a democracy, and some say we're a republic. So there's those that separated off in the hindsight 2020 year, and President Trump, apparently to many people, and I even heard May 3rd, a man it shocked me. I had to go back and listen. He was talking to Melinda and Bill Gates on YouTube, but it was on a major company watching, and the gentleman actually said, "Our President Trump," and I about had a heart attack because I was like, wait, what planet am I on? It was like one of those deja vu moments. And so I had to check my YouTube and make sure, it was live May 13th. Maybe I'll have to go back. I don't remember the exact date, but the thing is, if you follow Bill Gates and Melinda Gates and what they're doing, and they're splitting up the world money, and Bezos is splitting up the world money between male and female bonds. What does that mean? It means a lot to the world. And Elon Musk, I guess he's already gotten divorced, so I guess he's dating now. I know he had several sons. But these old world-time religions are evident in the contact and the lifestyles we keep on the planet, from those with the most money on down. And now the Queen has moved out of the castle, so to speak, which is very symbolic. And people in the esoteric field, we watch all of this around the world. It's not just what we study in the ancient history, but what's happening in new thought, meaning who we are today and how we speak to each other and practice. And we are expanding our consciousness every day. Every day our cells fall off our body. We make new cells so we can be forgiven for everything behind us as long as we learn from it. And those that follow in the steps of Jesus, which was our big teacher as Ascension, he's an ascended master in the world religions among many. There's many ascended masters because everybody didn't get introduced to Jesus. So in the Latter-day Saints, they hope that all people would come to Jesus, but everybody may not, because Hinduism is older than that, and it's a relatively new religion on the planet. So was Scientology, but now that all the founders are dead and gone. So I've started the Ascension Age, which is a new world religion based on the fact that we're calling it a church, and we're ordaining our own clergy. But I was called by God personally, and the Gold Pyramid in Houston, and the godfather of the Ascension Age music was Stephen Halpern at the time, playing piano. I've got to get a drink of water. This is an awful noisy bottle. Hold on. But Donna's always been one of these ladies that I have to have somebody on the other end letting me know that they hear me, and she's always been willing to step up to this free cosmos here and help us out, and when other people can't, she's just always been very helpful. And so I went ahead and paid the money to be legal, because I don't know if Trump's still the president or not. According to the news and from what I follow as a woman, and my mother was a Democrat, my father was a Republican, made for a very interesting life. So needless to say, they were educators, and so I became an independent for self-survival. And in journalism, going in as an investigative reporter and a journalist, I had to learn how to balance, my thoughts, because of the politics and the religions. They were on different religions, different politics. Raised 7 kids. Can you believe it? After I started having my own children and dying, and the government was interested because I was in the ACIR at the time. At the time, it was Advisory Council Intergovernment Relations, or I have to look that up too. But I know that my contracts was with the government. I filed out all the paperwork, and I was too young at the time. I didn't look it, and I didn't act it. I was very highly adapted to being an adult, coming from a very powerful family, I think, on both sides. As far as they were just middle class, but they were educated people. And but you know what? My parents didn't have college because they had me at 19 and 20. They had, back in that time, if you graduated high school and got married, mother was in home economics. So, and my dad went out and got a job doing copper tin work and working. I remember a lot of things he did in copper and artwork, and then his father owned a shoe store. I remember going to that. And anyway, before that, they had railroads through Ripley, Mississippi, and the family came from over in there, and then all the way over in North and South Carolina. But my grandsons were born in the Carolinas, but I was born in Louisiana. But all of this doesn't mean a lot once you grow up and you have children and you die. And I died when I was a child with hepatitis at 7. And I think that at second grade when I started, I knew I was going over to Roswell. I knew I was going over to White Sands, New Mexico, and my uncle Rufus Henry took me out there. and took my grandmother and me, and I knew I was going there. I sort of willed myself there. There's a book out there called Taken, and Steven Spielberg had Allie Clark, but had a gentleman write the book. It's very interesting, and it became very famous and became a television made for a movie made for television, a movie. It's a series, okay, and Taken. So if you can, see if you can rent it or get it. It's very good. And they have a little girl that was like me, and she went up in spacecraft. So people, when I was writing in 2007 in Canada for UFO Digest, started comparing my story with that story, and that's how I became Allie Clark, or Allie Clark became me. I'm not sure which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I'm very glad to see how people compared that story. And so when I came finally on this radio show, you'll see a figure of a lady. There's a lady with short hair and a lady with long hair looking at a UFO, and that's me, as supposed to be me. And the person that does these caricatures for very famous people in UFO business. So you'll see a lot of our speakers and radio hosts with these caricatures. So I thank people for giving me that. Now, recently I was on Free Cosmos, if you want to watch it, to see what I look like. It's, what is it called? Ascension, ASCENSION, which is what I'm famous for, Theresa of Ascension, and the Ascension Age, and the Ascension Church Ohana, and metaphysics, spirituality, how we live life after life, and how we educate you just like we did all the years back in Egypt and Atlantis and Lemuria and Mars and what we called Mu and On. And a lot of people don't understand how we could ever have been up in space. So we're back doing this and owning our life between lives and life with purpose. And you could say God or Jesus planned it this way, or both. If you're, I like to say God has no religion. Jesus didn't have a religion when he was walking and talking around earth. And he didn't, he talked to Peter. And so that's how the Catholic Church actually was so ingrained, and how the Roman Empire and the stories that came from Peter, and actually Peter, James, and John, and the 4 books of the New Testament, we go by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, basically, is if you're a Christian and you believe in the New Testament, and a lot of our Jewish friends only believe in the Old Testament, are the books written at that time. And it doesn't matter, because so many people, I talk to Muslims now on a daily basis in digital services on the internet, in cyberspace. So, here in America, we hopefully around the world, we accept everybody, because humans are real and they are entitled to human rights. So internationally and globally, we accept people regardless of their faith or their religion or their politics or their color of their skin. Who controls the melanoma? Is that the right word? No, that's, wait a minute. Good lands, am I getting old or what? It's the color of your skin and how much of this melanin, I remember that, is in your skin. So I talk about so many different subjects. Let me look at melanin. Is it melanin, folks? Millennial. I try to put it in Google. No, I want skin, DNA, your skin color. It's the melanin in your skin. How much you can tell the people that belong on the planet, because they have more skin tone because of the sun. We're in a solar, I think it's MEL. Is it? This is so embarrassing. I have to, MELANIN, 10 facts about melanin. Let's see what they say about that. Because this, it comes from the Greek word MELAS, translates to dark or black. The term can be used to describe natural pigments. There we go. That's what I was trying to talk about. I don't know, melanogenesis occurs. So the term can be used to describe natural pigments that can be found in various organisms through melogenesis. Melanin is produced by special cells known as melanocytes. So when, it's like you talk about their religion or the color of their skin, we just don't. It used to be a thing on the planet with our ancestors to find reasons to be different, whether they were, killing each other or not. So hopefully we are in past 2020, although I'm hearing about their bombing over there between Jerusalem and the Palestinians, but in humans, melogenesis occurs when there is exposure to ultraviolet radiation. That's all it is, resulting in darkened. So the melanin absorbs light effectively, and the pigment helps dissipate more than 99.9% of the absorbed ultraviolet radiation. That's why so many people that are white think they're off planet, or they originated from the original Anunnaki. Anunnaki actually means those from the heavens came. Anu, the An, people off in another complete different reality or universe or dimension or solar system, okay? However you divide up your thoughts and your rooms, like the rooms in your house. But the people that were found here, and nobody knew, they started their own. They had their original Bibles in Ethiopia and the original Egyptian knowledge, and they actually do talk about in the Quran and the Muslim world religion, or the what they call it's actually a Abrahamic faith, because Christians, Muslims, and Jews all believed in Abraham, Moses, believe it or not. They're all three world religions, and they are the largest next to Hindu. Of course, Chinese, they have Zen and they have Buddhism, Buddha, right? And I'm considered a bodhisattva because I've left and come back, and they say that we're not leaving till everybody in our world, in our way of thinking in the matrix, will convert. But they believe more in not so much God as a ultimate consciousness. So it's a all-encompassing monad. So the further you think and the further you get into words, you'll learn that you really don't know anything at all. So, but there is a lot to know. But I've got the melanin in humans I'm talking about esoterically that we have to understand as the more educated spiritual beings, is that we recognize we are a spiritual essence, waves out there that come and are encapsulated by choice in these little bitty clusters, and we're walking around like these little meat suits down here to form and educate and help some other parts of us, the other little drops of the ocean. They start off as a drop and become a little puddle maybe, and then maybe a pond, and then maybe a lake, and as a metaphor, analogy. So anyway, going on to the larger ocean, melanin is the determining factor of skin colors in humans. So not only is it found in skin, but your hair and the stria vacularis located in the inner ear, pigmented tissue underneath the iris of the eye. It's found in the brain, believe it or not, where your tissue with melanin includes pigment-bearing neurons, such as substantia nigra and locus coeruleus, and medulla. In the adrenal gland, it can also be found in the zona reticularis, and in the skin, the melanocytes, or melanocytes, in the basal layer of the epidermis producing melanin. So everybody has various levels of this melanin, melanin. So I hope you'll learn about it, especially you have people in all walks of life that try to separate the way they think in only 2 worlds of politics and religion, and that puts a big stunt growth of something. It stunts the growth. It's you can't just say, I'm going to put and learn these words about this thing in this part of my brain or in this room, but a lot of people concentrate and focus on things they think are bothering them. So I'd like to talk to you a little more in a level of this melanin and the human possessing concentrations of the skin and the cells everybody has, and we've discussed all the places they are. But, people have the condition, and they'll have vitiligo. It's called vitiligo, where some causes subcutaneous layers are to develop where they don't have any skin color. They may have dark and light, and that's different diseases can cause different strata or spaces, and what you can do and have symptoms of that. So melanin is in your body, in your ear, inside your brain, inside your skin cells, and it can make even cancerous melanoma cells. So you need to understand what to look for and things like that, which is a form of cancer. And I know a lot of people are getting that now. And we're here as your teachers, your pro-life people, meaning we want you to live long, to be 135. We've increased the 65 to 100. They moved it to 125, but in 2021 we're moving it to 135. But melanoma skin cancer, immunotherapy for melanoma, you need to watch for because you may not have enough ultraviolet protection in your skin that can cause early stage melanoma spots, okay? And it causes skin cancer, believe it or not, squamous cell carcinomas, and it's not pleasant. I have a friend just down the street that's getting big chunks of his body being cut out because they don't know what to do, and it keeps coming back. So, that is, we're really concerned. And so, you have to go to cancer physicians and see to taking care of your skin because you don't have enough ultraviolet, enough melanoma in your skin, and it makes these little squamous cells. Now, melanoma is a form of skin cancer, and immunotherapy is proven basically to a lot of people has been effective, cutting it out, or radiation or surgery. And we all understand that's just part of life. But it's really sad because people that don't have enough skin color, melanin in their skin, or in their eyes, or in your intestines even, you have to have this stuff. So learn that a lot of these things that people don't like or don't understand is we say there's nothing to fear but fear itself, but tell a naked man out in the jungle with big elephants and lions and tigers and bears, there's nothing to be scared of. But when an animal comes up, believe it or not, your fight, flight, or freeze, the 3 F's take over. And that is different than the color of your skin. Now, this is where ignorance comes out in humans, okay? And I'm not very intelligent, but I'm fortunate enough people feel like I read enough or have learned enough from death and dying, and returning a few lives to make it worth listening to. So we do our best to entertain you with educational entertainment. And I've got ACIRradio.com for my self and the way I was using intelligence and helping in digital networks and processing and services. And all this stuff I study in metaphysics, that's a big word, but actually even cosmology is a form. The study of the whole cosmos is in metaphysics. And that's a big word, metaphysics. So maybe you're metaphysicians. Let me tell you, it's the branch of philosophy that examines the fundamental nature of reality, including the relationship between mind and matter, between substance and attribute, and between potentiality and actuality. Well, that's a nice thing. That's a new version. Wikipedia's got fancier people, but they're changing Wikipedia meanings all the time. But do you know that China has decided to grab and Russia to their own version of Wikipedia? Because the UK was pretty much running the ball in the UK with the meanings, but they're putting up firewalls in our intelligence world and on the internet and cyberspace, and going to have their own branch and version of the internet, which we're calling the splinter net now. Now, the branch of philosophy that deals with the first principle of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, and space. Now, I wrote a book called Knowing Cosmology, if you're interested, and that'll break it down for you, knowing cosmology and metaphysics. And I'm just having time now to get out and visit and ask people that want to help become one of our Ascension masters like me, people that have died or had near-death experiences or are working in the higher states of being in the 5D experiencers, or if you've had UFO experiences, or if you have the dream space and you have learned to travel our phase space, be here now, and be in other areas of your life, coming and going with our life coaches. So if you would like to help, I would like to know who you are. If you're a developer, a webmaster, if you're a sole owner of a business to business, if you want to help us build the internet highway from Main Street to Wall Street to, just the digital cyberspace culture and what we're doing in the digital networking and protecting our pixels, how we trademark our brands, and how we're going to know each other by our logos. That's not going away. And our signs, symbols, and sounds isn't going away. So we understand we're all equal when it comes to human rights. And we're bringing our entrepreneurs, our solopreneurs together. And each individual will embrace as an independent contractor and work with us if you so desire. You, if you're at a disability or you have older and you don't have time to work but you want to volunteer with our nonprofit, that's fine. We write books, we write stories, and we put them into scripts, and we've got screenwriters, and we make them and we put them either in our own stories. Everyone is the author of their own life story, or if you want to celebrate with us life and the new life in our Ascension Church, Ohana, that's wonderful. And we will be also offering just plain business to business with American Communications Online Broadcasting, radio, television, movies, and what we do, working with extraterrestrial thoughts and the UAP Association's unidentified anomalous phenomena. Some call it unidentified aerial phenomena or unidentified aerial vehicles, but the way I learned it was unidentified anomalous phenomena. And, how we learn is by becoming smarter about how we communicate with each other and allowing others to tune in and help us. And UAP Associates share UFO Association, and we're on Friday nights is when we usually do talk more UFO, UAP, extraterrestrials. But that's when Brad Olson just of the Esoteric tonight said he couldn't come on until Friday. So hopefully we'll talk more esoterics. And I'm putting up a mystic guide as well, and I have a psychic guide psychic guide, esoteric guide, and mystic guide, and spirituality wellness guide for all those that are interested. And if you need anything to do with coding, even if it's C++ or Python, let me know. We've got that covered. iOS, Android, Apple, and anything we can do universally to help you understand that we all equal when it comes to human rights. And we know that people have been able to expand universally with gathering a lot, an accumulation of abundance. And we feel like our God that has no religion, but, down here on the planet, when in Rome do as, Romans do, so to speak. So we are using coins. So I have a coin TL, total coin, ACO International, ACOINTL.com to help. We have now fixed my webs because we have a lot of people that had things that won't fix or have it going to their phones now, and they want to check their businesses and the language. And Facebook came up with that, their own language. They've got good coders and have offered it, that relate. We call it React.native. So our Android, we're using the layers, and I'm going to do my best to understand more about how to help you understand not only your physical body, but your spiritual body, and also our empathic and sympathetic nervous system, and how we use our spirit, our real entity, our real honorable essence of what we are, that some people, I'm going to be honest with you, your Magais and your people that are like your yogis, or that studied in India, or have had past lives or returned in reincarnation, a lot of them do not really recognize your spirit essence separately, yes, but your conscience and your emotions and your thought processes aren't necessarily who you are as a way of thinking, because of the 10 points and the way that they are taught. And yogis, there's some really good YOGI yogis out there if you want to look for them on YouTube. I'm not going to favor one over the other, because back in the day, in my 70s and 80s, when I was dying and coming back and had questions about life after life, there really weren't a lot of people talking about what I felt like I was, except certain yogis from India. I think the Beatles felt that way, writing music, and went to India and stayed over there. And I never went over to India in this reality, because I had memories prior, off planet, on planet, with other beings. And we still have beings, and that have come here and returned. So we're working together to recognize each other as mystics, oracles, psychics, sages, seers. And, our ACO Association online social network is free, but that is your things like Reddit and Reddit, so to speak, your LinkedIn, your Pinterest, your Facebook, your Instagram, all those things that you post content. We're all content providers. Anytime you post or talk with a word or a message, or you put a picture, or if you're getting good at filming with your phones and videos. And so that's all your product till you put it out there in open source information. And we use Creative Commons licensing on the Internet highway. So a lot of us have websites if you want to help us, or keep your files out there, but gradually they're going to get where they're going to charge you for storage if you're already not recognizing that on your phones or in Google or in your in the cloud. So that's what we have to pay for until we figure out how we can do all this and manifest and bring this to fruition without the use of the devices, which we will get there. You'll get there when you learn to manifest like Jesus showed us a way to do that, how he went over and studied. He studied in India as a child, and he studied a lot of the ways of his forefathers and he talked about God and his Father in heaven and the many levels of heaven and dimensions, so to speak, realms, the many mansions hath my Father in heaven, if you want to talk about, in Bible language. But we can talk about all the languages and all the world religions, and none of them are bad, because if you've got some information and it rhymes with reason in you, or you resonate, is the way we say it in the New Thought teaching, the old New Age to Ascension Age talk. We're really big on Ascension Age awareness now, and uniting with those that have gone direct with their bodies, with their life after life, with their near-death experiences, with their life afterlife stories and memories, and that Jesus taught reincarnation. Because read Peter and about how the spirit was over the body even on the cross, and they laughed, and Jesus laughed, So you got to read some things that you may not have read in the Bible past, but they are still out there. They were there during the time, just people chose in Constantinople, Constantine, to leave a lot of things out that weren't thought of by the group of scribes and beings that were chosen at the time to include that, to shape the future of the way we think, the way we filter, the illusion of what we believe is real and what we cling to in cultures, and the way we think, even about the melanin in our skin. So we need to learn to embrace all levels of life, all human species, and embrace change for the future, because it's not going to change. Change is constant in the universe. Change is constant in all universes, in all elected beings, in all call of elections made sure, in all levels of being, and all DNA creatures, and all gravity spaces, and all these little molecules, photons, electrons, and gluons, and quarks. And from the microcosm to the macrocosm, it's all the same combinations, like the sacred flower in the tree of life, or the inside a conch shell, so to speak, or the flower of life, if you don't know what that is. We even have symbolisms for it throughout the ages, in all alien technology, in all universes. And even out there, when you bring the universes together, there's many universes that bubble up, and we're calling them bubble universes or metaverses right now. But we have the 7, and you bring them together in the universe or universe. Multiverse is the second level or second bubble. Metaverse is the third. Xenoverse is the fourth. The 5th universe is Omniverse. Now, speaking Western esoterics, and Alphaverse is the 6th, and Omegaverse is the 7th. Now, that's the 7 bubble universes, and we've come up in Wikipedia and in science fiction and in nomenclature in Western esoteric mystic guides to use uni, multi, meta, xeno, omni, alpha, omega. Now, in brain, neuro, and cyberspace culture, we use the 7 parts of our existence and consciousness. We use the 7 flowers, or the 7 petals, or the 7 lotus flowers, as are the 7 wavelengths, as alpha is what I'm talking to you in. There's first alpha, which is Greek. It's we'll say beta, because you would recognize if you go up to someone conscious, just, hey man, what's happening? That's your beta level. So we have beta, alpha, theta, Delta, Gamma, Sigma is 6, and 7 is up for grabs. As it was Beta, Alpha, Theta, Delta, Gamma, Sigma when I was growing up, but my daughter and Richard Limpton changed the 6, being I worked with people in the medical field, and so did my daughter before she passed. She was extraterrestrial DNA, and they couldn't get certain extraterrestrial part of her out from another level of that killed her. It actually killed her, and it was benzene poisoning from going into a house, spraying it, and didn't have either her mask or her set on, and her legs swole up, and we saw her on Facebook and said, my God, go to her doctor. And that's when my husband had passed in 2016, and I came down here, and it took us about a year to figure out she had cancer. By then, it was almost too late. She had down to 0 and 2%. Anyway, there's a long history behind staying alive. You need air to breathe, and you need your body to do what it does. And it was very hard for her. But Beta, Alpha, Theta, Delta, Sigma, Tau, or TAU, with Bruce Lipton, PhD. And then the next one, Beta, Alpha, Theta, Delta, Gamma, Sigma, Tau. So we're going to flip it. My daughter kept telling me, no, 6 is Tau. But Sigma doesn't sound right to me. So Zeta, Zid, 7, God, the 7th level. So we'll have to see what that is. God, my TV just came on. It must be getting close. They're telling me I'm going to be off channel here. So look me up on YouTube, Theresa J. Morris, or TJ Morris Agency, and study your metaphysics. I hope you'll find my book, Knowing Cosmology, on Amazon, or my book, If You Want to Be a Life Coach. And it's $25 to join me, because I have a lot of work to do to put up your page with your biography as a life coach and your picture. And then we get out and we help you with all our other life coaches around the world and the United States, and how you're conducting your business to business in other languages. So we'll put up a translate on our guide. So come back and listen to us Friday with Brad Olson and his 3 esoteric books. And we're trying to get Brett Luter involved. Brett is involved in California and working with our Ascension Masters and ACO, and helping us as a spiritual level being. And he's written Esoterics, and he's a great videographer and has in his storage films. And both Brad Olson and Brett Luter are very tall. I'm sure they've studied the Gigantopithecus, or the extraterrestrial level of existence we call the Yeti. It's gotten very popular in television with our tree people and our shaman, and the Yeti, Bigfoot, you may know Yeti drinkware, and Design Toscano, but Yeti coolers, keeping things frozen, right? Like the big Yeti, but Yeti meaning, let me find what I'm talking about. A Yeti is a mythical creature that's said to live in the Himalayan mountains. Another name for a Yeti is abominable snowman. I have sinusitis and I'm allergies. It's because it's like my skin color. I'm from another place in space. I don't have enough melanin to really be in this solar system. And abominable and allergies. I have to take a pill to sleep. What most consider the Yeti to be a legend, there are also those who believe in a real human-like creature that lives in Nepal and Tibet. And they were there to protect the extraterrestrials. And I came in a ship in a Himalayan mountain range in Asia a long, long time ago. And if you like, it's one of my past lives. And we had the Yeti with us, like in Star Wars, the big, you know, what was he? I forgot, a Wookiee, wasn't he? Wookiee, and so the Yeti is like the Wookiees. It's in our DNA levels of understanding. They protected us, extraterrestrials, and those with no melanin, so to speak, because we live in space. And so we have white Yetis, white skin. We have red skin and brown skin down that came down off of the mountains. They're kin related to the skunk. What do they call him? Skunk something. I've forgotten all the names of those beings. They're extraterrestrials that can come and go, materialize in the shaman way of speaking into the trees. They skunk something down in the skunk, like a skunk monster, skunk ape strain. Let's see, what would that be? On Earth, skunk ape strain. From an unknown breeder comes skunk ape. A cross of Las Vegas purple kush. Original glue. Marijuana strain. No, Google. That's not the skunk ape I was looking for. No. Now, a lot of people swear by this. I'm so glad that finally we're getting around to legalizing like we did alcohol. God, alcohol was so tough on everybody, folks, and it's hard to get away from. So I don't know if this marijuana, it says it's natural. People believe it's a natural herb and have swore by it. Thank God for Willie Nelson keeping the faith all those years, right? I never got into it. I never smoked, drank, drunk, or drive drunk. Never had a DUI either. But I really think this stuff is part of our heritage, our culture, and we should study philosophy, theosophy, world religions, etymology, the study of humans, cosmology, metaphysics, esoterics, and mystics. Let me tell you what a mystic is, according to Wikipedia. Not Mystic, Connecticut, because I did go there, Mystic Seaport. And mysticism, it has Wikipedia. Mysticism is popularly known as becoming one with God, the absolute, that may the experience of mystical union or direct communion with ultimate reality reported by mystics. The belief that the direct knowledge of God, spiritual truth, or ultimate reality can be attained through subjective experience such as intuition or insight. So that lets you know. Now, mysticism in the Stanford Encyclopedia, mysticism is the best thought of as a constellation of distinctive practices, discourses, texts, institutions, traditions, experiences aimed at human. I have to click the link. Oh my, it's a long classification. Mystical experiences. That nature's different religions and mystical traditions, to what extent mystical experiences are conditioned by a mystic's language and culture, and whether mystical experiences furnish evidence for the truth of their contents. Some philosophers have questioned the emphasis on experience in favor of examining the entire mystical complex. You know, they want to measure things scientifically. So not as the term of the efforticism, a constellation of distinctive practices. Well, concerning a mystical experience, we'll talk more about that with esoterics and those that study all this. And I hope you'll join me Friday, because I'm now out of time on this particular. I'm sorry I got started late and had to play my music, me singing. Hope I didn't hurt your ears too bad. Paid a lot of money to have those and filed in New York, and the money I had gotten and spent, and I'm glad I did, because I have my husband helping me, and we put out this CD called Love One Another. It's had some gospel tunes. So I'll have to get those out of Nashville and find our gospel tunes, and had some friends come and help us, and that was my ministry, my music ministry, and then my writing ministry, and now my radio ministry and my YouTube ministry. So working together to add to you as friends and to know about things that may be strictly mysticism or esoterics. So that's what I'm known for, folks. I'm known as a life after lifer. I'm one of those. I'm a mystic, an oracle, a psychic, a sage, a seer, a shaman, and a healer, and lots of thoughts. And hopefully you'll find some of our guides, and we'll try to put some good thoughts and some good writing in the future. I'm going to ask certain people to join me in writing and helping you understand who we are with esoteric guides and mystic guides, spirituality, wellness, TJMRCT Radio, Ascension, Cosmos, Oracles, 5D Experiencers, and all of my books, Knowing Cosmology. And if you'd like to be a life coach, please contact me, Ace Life Coach by TJ Morris on Amazon.com. And it may be in an ebook. I was going to look that up for you. Let me see. Ace Life Coach. Because I've got two in my own. I have to order them full retail. So I've got it as low as I can get it. Ace Life Coach by T.J. Morris, because Theresa Jeanette is too long to write, so many characters. Ace Life Coach, basic instruction. If I said anything that made you understand me and my people, my tribe, my kind, it's $10, available to ship in 1 or 2 days. Ace Life Coach, basic introduction. I need to update it, but for right now, get it. Before I change it, that'll be your first edition for all you book club people. And it's $10. And I'm doing my best to create a new club. I've always had an authors club organization on Amazon, but they never relied on me and my book club, so they're going to help me create my book club. And, of course, I have a domain. I have many domains, and we combine Theresa of Ascension and let me see how much they've got. Knowing Cosmology, Ascension Age, TJMRCT Contactee. Ooh, finally, they've got it down to $13.99. Please grab it. It's Knowing Cosmology, Ascension Age. If you like what I have said tonight, that will be very helpful to help me help others. And free delivery. I don't have the money right now to even order my own book for $13.99 because my car broke. It cost me an extra $500. And I'm on a fixed income, folks. And I'm not complaining. I live a lot better than many people. I live a very humble life as you don't hear rich people writing in the Bible, do you? The Law of One with a friend of mine, Carla, that's passed over now. That's a good book to have with my book, Theresa of Ascension, our Knowing Cosmology, our life coach, and UFOs. I wrote with my husband, the Roswell Connection. I wrote Roswell UFO. And he wrote Life. What did he write? It's Thomas R. Morris, Spies, Lies, and Political Games, or I think about the CIA, some of his cases. And I was always about spirituality and learning why I died, how I died, how you go through the different levels of the universes so you can learn to talk about them now. And people have always called us different, weird, crazy. And I'm the Cosmos Ambassador. And, it's not easy being green. So help me out here, folks, if you can relate to me. And you can send us a couple of bucks. It goes right into our PayPal account to help pay for this radio show. And we're not the number one listener supported but we're doing our best just to be supported because we never ask for money, and God has told me I can finally do so and be abundant and multiply. And I'm like, well, I've already had all the children I can have. But he told me all children were my children. How's that for being a part of God, the monad, the ultimate God-realized person, is being thankful that everybody is a reflection of me, and you are a reflection of me, and we are a reflection of God. So we're all shards of the truth, and we have illusions and filters in this reality, and we're going to enjoy and be more than we were today, and we are going to be tomorrow, forever after. So love and light, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you get some form of lovely entertainment. And I do past life regressions, hypnosis, counseling, therapy, but I really just hang my shingle as a life coach. It keeps me from having to deal with a lot of stuff, and then my nonprofit is in Florida, and I'm working with Tom Schaefer, who's got Tommy Shutters, a photographer, and making videos with us, and he has Free Cosmos, and he'll have Peter Robbins on May 27th, and Peter endorsed me on LinkedIn, so God bless Peter Robbins, and many friends out there that are authors of publishing houses. DrRichardAllenMiller.com. Dr. Rick Miller will be with us again. And look for Dr. Rick Allen Miller and me, Theresa J. Morris, together. And we're old people, and some people like what we're doing, believe it or not. So if you're with our group, you can be 18 or older. I'm sorry I can't deal with the children. There are people that are like me that are teachers and educators that will deal with all those, whether they're remote teaching or not, long-distance learning or going to school, and still brick and mortar. But we are going to accept the world as it is and know that institutions and education and churches have changed. You know, I hope we'll still have libraries and museums. I'm an advocate of ALA, American Library Association. I loved working in libraries, and I love my books, and I'll keep writing books. But they're just going to be thinner and less expensive since I have to work with Amazon, okay? So that I'll be more than happy if you guys have some thoughts, something you want me to share or look and help you study it. Just send it to me as director@ufo.associates. That's director@UAP I will put that in this email on the bottom of this combination with others who have died like me or had near-death experiences or ET experiences or are now in my 5D experiencers groups or in any of my groups online, Facebook, social media groups. And I'm really growing with Facebook. I've got a lot to learn, coding and teaching and doing what I do, but a lot of people don't like that deep level learning in the internet or on cyberspace or coding. So they just deal with their companies and their apps and their products and their services and import, export internationally. But God bless everybody. God bless everyone, and love and light. And do you remember Red Skelton? Is anybody as old as me from Indiana? Red Skelton, and how he'd say, "May God bless," with his hat on at the end. God bless Red Skelton and all his famous. And Danny Thomas. How many of you are old as me that remember Make Room for Daddy? And if you have a few pennies, give it towards my husband's famous St. Jude was his famous when he would work and he couldn't get the money because he was in uniform, he would give it to St. Jude's Hospital. And mine is to help my daughter build this nonprofit and give to her charity as Ginger Parish Foundation for what she died of. They don't have a lot of people, and she made some YouTubes for people to watch her give her life to that disease, like my brother David Thurman gave his life to AIDS and put his story in the newspaper, and he had a big following because he was on Oprah Winfrey show. David Thurman on the Oprah Winfrey show as he was Boy George lookalike, and he was a great human being, gay, but the Church of Latter-day Saints wouldn't recognize him, and that just tore his soul essence in Jesus and God, being that they have no religion. That was not the way that they taught. God has no religion. Jesus did not teach a religion, folks. So there's no right church out there, and yet God speaks through me. And Jesus I met as I died and spoke to him. He told me to found this church, Ascension Age and Ascension Church, Ohana, and help people understand why my daughter, being extraterrestrial, had some DNA that didn't agree with her and how it was affected with benzene poisoning, okay, with chemicals that are toxic. So there's a lot of life to live at my age, 70 to 135. And let's be kind, and let's be loving, and let's be essence and spiritual, and talk about what really matters, and that's life, living and learning. So live, laugh, love a lot, have a lot of laughter, and learn every day. And don't put toxins in your body. Don't smoke. Please, if you are, please stop. It's really, really terrible for your body. It will kill you. So don't kill your human meat suit, your carbon-based unit, okay? And don't put alcohol. Alcohol is killing our young people, and alcohol is toxic, especially in larger levels. Alcohol kills. Cigarettes kill. Even vape, I'm thinking, is not good for you. Chemicals like that, they're poison. So, if you're hurting and you need something, maybe go to your doctors. But you can also now get cards for that, what they use, herbs and plants like the marijuana types we talked about earlier. So know the difference between extraterrestrials and aliens and extraterrestrials and the malevolent and benevolent, supposedly, that they're keeping out there in space. And I'll help to unite all of us, because God has a way of bringing us above the things that gravity and time and space. And I'm going to do the best to help psychics and channelers and people embrace all their higher selves and all their levels of existence and all levels, dimensions, realms. And even the churches are teaching new dimension, new life, conscious life. And we're going to get back some remote viewing and some psychics and tarot readers and helping you majestically and how to talk and go direct to God. There is a God. There is a higher good on delivery, okay? And he doesn't have to be measured. And you can see I am, he, she, it, we, you, they, his, her, it. And I am. So I am. So the great I am said I am that I am. So believe in the words of the book and the Bible, the number one seller in the entire world, as far as it is translated correctly from original Sumerian script, cuneiform, Anunnaki, Mu, Atlantean, Lemurian, to Dead Sea Scrolls, to the Kabbalah, to the 4 languages, original Greek, Latin, Roman, if you want to say, Roman numeral, cuneiform, and Akkadian, and whatever other languages we're now finding out existed, others all over the world. And all the pyramids, there's thousands, not just the ones of Giza in Egypt. Well, they let me go over 15 minutes, folks, but I was late getting started, so I hope you got your money's worth, your 2 cents worth, and if you want to join our Esoteric Mystic Guides and you can help us out, we would really appreciate your support. So thank you all for joining our free groups online and Facebook and on LinkedIn, and you'll see me on Pinterest, and I've even got a Twitter account and my fixmywebs.us, and that's me, fixmywebs.us, and help you any way I can to get your business to business. And I have ACO, American Communications Online, and ACO International, and Ascension Church Ohana, nonprofit education, books, and Ascension Age. So love and light, everybody. I look forward to being your friend and getting to know you in my ministry. So love and light, all you mystics, oracles, psychics, sages, and seers, as we build our new YouTube channel and psychic channel network. Go Friday.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing's going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I come running to see you again. Winter, spring, Say the bluegrass trains are coming from Beaverdale down to Alabama. The bluegrass trains are coming. Bluegrass trains are coming. Long, long train running. It's a song's refrain, and I gotta remain. Bluegrass trains are coming. Bluegrass trains are coming. You'll hear Bill Monroe's a strumming. Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, Ralph Stanley giving hugs. As the bluegrass trains are coming. For many years it has been running from the town of Rosine down to New Orleans. The bluegrass trains are coming. See the white clouds a chugging. Hear the big, big wheels a humming. From the Ohio down to Mexico. Trains are coming. It's the sound of long time ago. Sounds that we all know. See the